Today we're going on another journey through some of the most depraved, deplorable people on the internet today. My name is Ross and I read out Reddit stories for your listening and viewing pleasure. And I've got a bunch more stories from r/AmITheDevil. If you're watching this while you cook, clean, you're working or you're driving to work, you're awesome. Thank you so much for letting me spend some time with you today. If this is your first video or your second or third or fourth, hey, please consider subscribing. Most of the people watching aren't subscribed. It's free, it's one click, and it means you get notified every single time a video goes live. If you're interested in audio only as well, or offline viewing so you save data, the show on Spotify will be in a link in the description, which means you can download it when you're home and listen to it without having to waste data. So, let's get into the first Reddit story of the day. Am I the a-hole for calling my brother selfish over his last-minute destination wedding? Yesterday, one of my brothers announced that he had gotten engaged the night before. Apparently, it was a spur of the moment and not planned ahead of time. That's what he said. I was happy for them and it was a happy event, but then it came out they were having a destination wedding. Yesterday morning, before they told anyone about their engagement, they booked a river cruise on the Rhine River. An 8-day cruise from Switzerland to the Netherlands. The wedding will be somewhere along the way. The cruise starts tomorrow. They flew to Switzerland today and are staying in a hotel tonight and will fly back the day after the cruise ends after a one-night stay in a hotel in the Netherlands after the cruise, so a 10-day trip in total. Not only did they not give advance notice of the fact that they're having a destination wedding, they did not give any information on the river cruise they are going on. I had to do some Googling to find out what cruise company it was and the prices and itinerary. It turns out that the cruise that's leaving tomorrow was sold out already. They didn't give any information on their flights or what hotels they're staying at in Switzerland or the Netherlands. I get that the engagement was spur of the moment, but they only gave 12 hours notice about the wedding. Besides the fact that they didn't give anyone information about the cruise or hotels or anything, people have kids, jobs and other commitments and can't just drop everything on less than a day's notice to take an 8-day trip. Not everyone has the money or passports ready without notice. Also, the cruise company that they are using doesn't allow passengers under 18 for any reason, and there are no exceptions. I have 3 kids and my wife and I can't just leave them for 8 days. Lots of her family and their friends have kids, and it's inconsiderate to exclude them or expect parents to leave their kids somehow for over a week. It's also inconsiderate to trap your guests on a cruise while you are busy on your honeymoon just because you got married on a cruise. The result is that no one is going to their wedding, none from her side or any of their friends. They are going alone. My brother got really angry at me when I told him his last-minute destination wedding was selfish and inconsiderate, but it's the truth. Destination weddings are usually somewhat selfish, but by not giving anyone notice, it's really selfish. I didn't even know how they managed to throw together a whole wedding on such short notice, but no one is going because it is so last minute. Still, my brother is really angry at me over what I said. So I had to reread this post because I was pretty sure that I hadn't read it on the first time through. But there is absolutely no mention of his brother actually inviting him, his family, her family, or anybody to this wedding. It just sounds like they're getting eloped. They're just jumping a cruise and getting eloped. I mean, there's probably some degree of planning that went into this beforehand, but you're not invited because they don't really want to make a big wedding thing of it. It's not a destination wedding. If it was a destination wedding, there'd be some degree more planning into it and the involvement of you and your family. Some people, they just want to get married, the two of them, and enjoy the rest of their lives together. The fact that you had to go Sherlock Holmes mode and start scouring for cruise companies that go along the River Rhine. Brother, they may have told you that they were there, and that's where they were going, but I still do not see anywhere where it says if you want to come, or if you can come, or you should come to this wedding. Just like how if someone says, I'm going home, that doesn't mean you're invited to their home, that's just where they're going. Yeah, obviously nobody's going to be booking a cruise with 12 hours notice. They don't want other people there, they just want to have it themselves. It's not that difficult to get someone to officiate the wedding. It could be like a close friend that's doing it, and all you need is a witness or something like that to sign the papers. Some people just want a wedding like that, just to get eloped, have a sick honeymoon, and then enjoy the rest of their lives together. If you wanted to be a good brother, there's only one thing that you really need to do, and that is congratulate him, say, nice one, man, enjoy your time, I'll see you when you get home. If you want, we can throw some kind of informal shindig when you get back home to properly celebrate with the family. It doesn't have to be a big formal thing, but we can have some kind of informal celebration with the people that didn't get to go on the cruise, which is everyone. And then there you go, problem solved. If he says, sure, that sounds good, there you go. If not, tough. Very strange that the groom's brother is trying to make somehow this entire wedding about himself. But anyway, let's move on to the next Reddit story. This next one is, am I the a-hole for wanting my 54 male niece, 26 female, to step up more to take care of her grandmother? Hi all. Thank you for reading. I would like your advice/judgment on this, since it's not very easy. My niece, let's call her Jane, is 26 years old. She is the daughter of my sister who passed away 4 years ago after an illness that lasted more than 15 years. Jane is a great girl. She really is. Smart, intelligent. She had a very rough childhood because of her mother's illness and took care of her until the day she passed away, for which I am very grateful. She also took care of the administration after her death and kept on taking care and helping her grandmother, who is my mother. My mum and Jane have a great relationship. Jane studied at university and found a job in her university town 1.5 hours away. She still kept on visiting my mother every weekend, even staying from Friday evening until Sunday evening. Even took days off when she had to go to the hospital to take care of her, help her pay her bills, took her dog in when she was in the hospital, arranged to help at home for my mother, etc. I live 10 minutes away from my mother, but work at night, so in daytime I sleep. I also have 2 sons who are 20 and 22, so they're a bit young to help their grandmother. Is that right? 2 years ago, Jane met her boyfriend Daniel, 30 male. Last year in November and December, my mother often felt alone, cried a lot, was in and out of hospital. When she felt sad, I asked Jane to call her or visit her because I didn't have time for that. As said, I work at night and sleep during the day. Jane also had to take care of my mum's dog when she was in the hospital because, again, I work at night. I also asked her to bring my mum to the hospital during the day a few times because I had to sleep. Anyway, since a few months ago, Jane does less for my mother and for me. She no longer runs all the errands. When my mum doesn't feel great and I call her early in the morning, she doesn't immediately stop by to pick the dog up, but asks to see how the situation goes. She no longer runs my errands either when I can't. Now, she only visits 1 time a week, for example after work, and no longer on weekends it seems. Instead of calling my mother each day, she only calls every other day. I am now in a situation where I have to do a lot for my mother. I run errands, I sometimes pay her bills when there are some, sometimes I even need to change plans for this, and to be honest, I don't think that it's fair. I don't think that it's fair on me, nor my mother, because it's not her fault that her daughter passed away. I would like Jane to step up more and stop being selfish. Oh, okay. This is a bad one. This is a really, really bad one. You have got one thing right though. It is not fair on your mother because she has a son that presumably hates her guts and finds that everything about her existence is a complete inconvenience. Yeah, it's rough, it sucks, you have to go out of your way for these things, but you know what? She spent a lot of her life raising you. She looked after you, she fed you, she clothed you, she put a roof over your head, and guess what, buddy? It's now your time to return the favor. Your sister used to do it, your niece used to do it, it is now your turn. But that being said though, you live 10 minutes away, it's really not that big of an inconvenience for you. But that being said, I'm also like half inclined to say that you shouldn't do this because your mother doesn't really deserve somebody that doesn't want to help her, dragging their heels at every instance. Your niece cannot be expected to give up her entire life looking after people. She has her own life that she needs to live, and it sounds like she's doing really well, juggling all of these things, going to university, having a job, having a partner, and then also going from having to look after her mother who was sick for so long to now looking after her grandmother. That is a tough life, and it certainly, almost definitely, has worn her down a considerable amount. She does this out of love. She's done this out of love for her mother and obviously her grandmother. She probably also does it out of love for you as well. But it's time to give her a bit of a break. You need to lighten the workload for her a little bit. Also, if you can't do it and you don't want to do it, and it sounds like you really don't want to do it, in what planet, universe, or dimension is 20 and 22 years old too young to be helping out with your mother? Jane is 26 years old. However, she's been looking after her mother and helping out with her mother since she was probably, what, 11? Be honest, is it the fact that she's more capable than your sons, or is it the fact that you have an idea in your head that you think that women should be looking after others because they're just better at it than men are? Get your sons on the phone and get them up to go see your mother. 20 and 22 are not young, okay? They're fully grown adults, pretty much. It's about time that they learn some responsibility. they need to instill some degree of respect for their elders and respect for the ones that came before them. You set a good example for your kids as well, man. If they see you looking after your mother so well and you've looked after your children well, I think they'll be far more inclined to help out and look after you as well when you're older and when you need the help. But sure, man, whatever. 10 minutes drive for you is just so difficult. I'm sure it's much better for your niece to be driving an hour and a half to see her almost every day. You're crazy. Your mother doesn't deserve you. Very unfair on her. Your niece also, God bless her. Wishing the best for her. She seems like a very, very tough kid. I actually went down in the comments and my maths was completely wrong. Let me get this straight. One of the comments says, niece was her mother's carer at 7 years old, but your sons 20 and 22 are too young. Your niece was also completely robbed of having her childhood because of this. I'm sorry, why was the niece running errands for him? That's another thing as well. Not only was the niece running errands for his mother, her grandmother, but also she's running errands for him because he presumably, and I find this difficult to believe, is always in a perpetual state of sleep, wake up, work, finish work, sleep. He has no free time. It's a 12-12 cycle. He works 12 hours, sleeps 12 hours. That's the way it goes, I guess. This is a tough one because this is also another one for me that kind of hits close to home and gets me really riled up and angry. Because my mother was the caregiver for my grandmother for many, many, many years, who go up to see her every single day. My uncle didn't really care about his mother at all. But what do you know, when she passed, guess who came knocking at the door for that inheritance? It's just disgusting, man. You can't help some of these people. Shout out to Jane though, she sounds like a great person. Hopefully she's living life to the max now. With that said, let's move on to the next Reddit story of the day. This next Reddit story of the day is, am I the a-hole for threatening to kick out my coworker / roommate for kissing my best friend? Around February, I, 23, let my coworker Jaden, 25, and his daughter Leah, 6, move in. We were co-workers and friends for 3 years, and he's always been so funny, smart, and cute. We became really close friends. Unfortunately, work decided that they can't afford to keep everyone and has been making cuts, and Jaden was basically forced to quit. I know he was really worried about his rent and everything, and my roommate was leaving, so I offered for him to stay with me, and we worked out an agreement. We decided that while he's still looking for a job, he would deal with all of the chores and errands and housework. It's honestly been amazing having him live with me. He's such a great cook, and Leah has actually been really well behaved and sweet. He's helped me out a lot, and I really enjoy being able to spend all this time with him. He has found some part-time work, but nothing that pays enough for him to live alone, so we've mostly kept to our agreement, just with me doing more and him helping pay a little. My friends have come over quite a few times, and obviously met him. Last weekend, I had a bunch of friends stay over. I thought that it went great, but the next day Leah told me she saw Jaden kiss my best friend. I was really upset, and Jaden and I ended up arguing about it. I told him how betrayed I felt. He tried to say that it was fine, that apparently that kiss wasn't intentional, and he didn't say anything because they didn't know what it meant. But it's still wrong. I'm doing so much only for him to do this to me. I got upset and told him that he'll have to leave if he just wants to take advantage of my kindness, that I don't want to live with someone who betrays me like that. He was offended and just tried to act like it was no big deal and that I was being crazy. He thinks I have no right to say anything about his love life, even though it's my best friend and I'm doing so much for him. Our talk really didn't work, but I did talk to my best friend and she agreed to back off. The last few days have been horrible, and he doesn't think that he's done anything wrong. I've tried to talk again, but he now refuses to and has been really cold, and told me that he'll move out as soon as he can. I don't think that I've done anything wrong, it's his own fault. I want to work this out, but he shouldn't be going around kissing my friends. But the fighting has really upset Leah, and obviously Jaden thinks that I'm an a-hole, even if he's being selfish. This person believes that they own another human being just because they are housing them in exchange for doing some chores and cooking. You've got absolutely no right or say over anyone's bodily autonomy, even if they're under your roof. You worked out an agreement, he would do the chores, he would do the cooking, he would run the errands. That's where it ended. You haven't got any emotional or romantic say over this person. It sounds very much like you're supremely into this guy, but he has got absolutely no interest in you. I don't know if this entire thing was a ploy from the beginning in order to bring him into your home in a space where you could properly get to know him and end up sparking up something romantically. I'm quite worried that that is the plan, and that was the plan the whole time. But it's pretty obvious that he just wants to keep it business, so to speak. He's very thankful. He's very happy that you've helped save him and his daughter from a really poor financial situation. I'm sure that he's expressed it 1,000,000 times already, but at the same time, you've overstepped your boundary, because if you actually had any romantic feelings for this person, it doesn't sound like you've actually expressed that to him at all. And to be honest with you, with the current state of his living arrangements, he probably doesn't want to get into a romantic relationship with you anyway, because any argument or any dispute, or if you break up, would immediately end up with him and his daughter, who's only 6 years old, being homeless. Because you could just kick him out. He's not paying rent, he's not on the lease. You could fire him out at a moment's notice, and I think that's probably something that lives in the back of his mind at all times. This person is so unbelievably jealous and possessive over something and someone that has absolutely, they have no claim to this person at all. They're not with them romantically. There's been absolutely no romantic interactions at all. The original poster has, of course, deleted their comments, as a lot of these people tend to do when they realize that the tide is turning. But we do have a bit of an archive comment here from the original poster with somebody who asked him a very simple question. Is Jaden aware that you have feelings for him and that you expected them returned because of your selfless acts of kindness? The OP responded, I haven't told him, but it's not about that. He doesn't have to like me back, but he can't go around kissing my friends. He and his daughter would have been homeless if I didn't help him. I mean, Leah sees me as a mother figure now. You have got some kind of complex, I think. You really seem like you're holding the fact that they could be homeless at any moment, if not for your good graces, over these people's head. And I sincerely hope that they fix their financial situation and immediately left you to rot on your own, as you probably deserve. You're playing this bizarre fantasy in your head. You're playing this scenario in your head where you three are a happy little family, but it is completely one-sided, and I can assure you that if you still had any hope of that, they should be dashed against the rocks now. I hope Jaden and Leah are doing well. Hope they've gotten out of that situation, because that sounds like a very controlling and scary situation, especially with all the uncertainty to be in. Anyway, let's move on to the next Reddit story of the day. This next one is, am I the a-hole for asking for a morning off from my baby on the weekends? My wife and I have a 6-month-old baby girl. She's mostly a stay-at-home mum. She works 2.5 days a week and her sister watches the baby. I work full-time and go to school 1 day a week. We've always had an arrangement where she takes care of the household duties, cooking, cleaning, and now baby care, while I happily support her monetarily. Honestly, we are both living our dream life, and my wife does an absolutely spectacular job taking care of me and our little one. On the weekends, we share baby duty. We usually make sure each of us gets her own alone time to do whatever we want. However, our girl has hit a bit of a sleep regression, waking up every 2 hours. Since my wife breastfeeds, she's always taking care of the baby full-time overnight. She's a light sleeper and unfortunately has insomnia, whereas I am a deep sleeper and wouldn't wake up for baby cries anyway. Recently, my wife has been asking me to wake up with the baby both days on the weekend so she can get an extra hour of sleep. Baby wakes up at around 7 AM. I get the baby dressed and take over for that hour. But sometimes I want to be the one that gets to sleep in an extra hour. I brought this up to her and she says that while she's happy to let me nap during the day, she really needs that hour because she can't nap like I can. We got into an argument about it and she said that I'm being very insensitive when I know she is very exhausted and can't nap during the day, and she struggles going back to sleep every time the baby wakes up. But I'm exhausted too. Work wears me out and school days are long. I don't want to spend my off time napping. I want to play video games and chill out. I've gotten mixed opinions on who is in the wrong here, or if there even is anyone in the wrong. Am I the a-hole for asking us to share mornings off for sleep? Bro, you have already got such an easy job already. She takes the entire night to look after the baby in case it wakes up, because you're apparently such a heavy sleeper that even with a baby monitor and a baby crying, you don't wake up to it. That is like a sweet deal. You get like a full night's sleep with no interruption. All she's asking for is like an extra hour. It'll be gone before you know it. Plus, with all the busyness that you have from working full-time and also doing school, which presumably does take up quite a considerable amount of time, you get an extra hour twice a week to watch your baby girl grow. The video games that you're playing will exist as long as you have the things with which to play them on, right? You're not going to run out of video games. They'll always be there, ready for you whenever you're ready to come back to them, whenever you actually do get a free hour, or when you get to a period in time where your daughter is able to sleep through the night mostly uninterrupted and everybody can get a little bit more sleep. But your child is never going to be that age again. Surely you want to be part of that magical time when they're growing, even if it's hard, and I'm sure that it is hard. After having a kid, so many people talk about how far you can go on not a lot of gas as far as sleep is concerned. One thing worth mentioning as well, I think, is the fact that it hasn't even seemed to cross his mind that he can do both of the things. He can look after his kid and also play some video games. I have like a few friends of mine that are dads that will have their baby in a cot next to them while they're playing on their PC or while they're playing on their Xbox or whatever. And all you have to do is check up on the baby every few minutes. Doesn't have to interrupt what you're doing on your chill time, but it would take such an unbelievable load off of your wife and the mother of your child to get a little bit of extra sleep, try and get a couple extra hours in, but you still get to do what you want. And even better, you're doing what you want, but you're also a hero to your wife because you're helping her get a little bit of extra sleep. When the baby's awake, you should be interacting with it and playing with it, but if it's just chilling and sleeping, sure, you can play a little bit of Xbox quietly in the background whilst they're sleeping next to you. I don't see any issues with that. But no, you want your own time, but your wife isn't allowed any of her own time to do any of her hobbies. Just you. Another Reddit story, another dum-dum. Let's move on to the next Reddit story of the day. This one is, am I the a-hole for laughing at my girlfriend when she suggested I should offer to pay the bill for her family? My 23 male girlfriend, 21 female, and I have been together for a year and a half. Her family is super sweet and I get along great with them. Now, my girlfriend's dad is pretty well off. Every time I've gone out to dinner with her family, he always foots the bill. Her family has been great to me. They always welcome me in their house. I went on vacation with them back in the winter. Her parents paid for our hotel for the entire week. Her dad gave her money for food. Granted, it was for her, her brother, and myself. I also only paid for half of my flight because my girlfriend offered to pay for the other half. The only thing I really had to pay for is food a couple days out of the trip, which my girlfriend pitched in and helped with too. This past weekend, my girlfriend, myself, her younger brother, and her dad went out for brunch. I was spending the weekend with her anyway, so she invited me to join them. Before we left, her and I were talking, and she mentioned how maybe I should offer to pay for brunch, as in for all four of us. She assured me that her dad would 1000% refuse to let me pay, but he would probably really appreciate and respect me for offering. Now here's where I may sound like an a-hole, because I honestly laughed at her suggesting this. I told her I would offer to cover her and my portion of the bill, but to expect me to offer to cover the entire bill is absurd. Sure, I work a full-time job and all of that, but I have my own bills and stuff to worry about too, and she wants me to offer to pay for an $150-ish brunch. She told me that if her dad accepted, which she could 100% guarantee that he wouldn't, that she would send me half for the bill. I continued to laugh and told her that I'm not doing that. I'll offer to pay for our half and that's it. I asked her if the roles were reversed, if she would offer to pay for the bill for my family. 8 of us total, including my girlfriend, and she said that's completely different, that is 8 people, not 4. We both have had very different upbringings in terms of the situation I mentioned about paying the bill. She grew up with a decently well-off family where they would constantly argue on who would pay the bill, because everyone in her family would always offer out of courtesy. I grew up very differently as I come from a family that was not financially well off. If someone offered to foot the bill, you'd just sit back and let them do it. When we went to brunch, I offered to cover both her and my portion of the bill. Her dad immediately refused and covered the whole bill. She gave me that "I told you so" look. She thinks I was an a-hole for how I reacted to the situation and says that I should have trusted her. She told me she needs some space because my reaction to the whole situation is kind of a turn off to her and she needs to think about things. Am I the a-hole? Now listen, man. This family's already done a lot for you. They've accepted you. The least that you could do is offer. If they know about your financial situation, if they know that you can't really afford to be doing stuff like that, the chances are they're not going to let you pay anyway. But the fact of the matter is, if it's not going to put you out of house and home, you should still offer to pay your way. And that means paying for stuff for other people, man. That's what family do. You get the round of drinks in, you buy somebody dinner, you buy somebody lunch, because you seem to be benefiting an awful lot more from this relationship than anybody else is. Nobody's getting a free ride off of you. It's just you free riding everything else. I don't think I'm a tremendous fan of the fact that the guy said that from his upbringing, if somebody mentioned to foot the bill, everybody was just like, well, we'll let them handle it then. It seems very much like raised in a way of like taking advantage of other people's kindness in a way. And yeah, maybe your girlfriend does have a significantly more different upbringing where a lot of her family are well off, but it doesn't seem like they're miserly with it. It doesn't seem like they're stingy with it because you're just her boyfriend, but they're still offering to pay for things like vacations and food, drink, outings. They're treating you well. And it's not a lot of skin off your back to treat them as well as you are financially able to do. $150, yeah, that's a stingy one to come out of the bank account for sure, yeah, for anybody. But like, do we really want to be running the mental tally up in our head? And I think that that's probably what your girlfriend is doing. She's thinking, is $150 worth it when my family has probably spent probably somewhere in the 4 figures on you in the last year or so? This guy's got a cool situation going. He's being accepted into a family that are extremely generous. They're treating him well. Some people just have no idea the respect that that father would probably have if he actually did pay the bill. Even the offer would have probably got a lot of brownie points in his eyes. But if he actually insisted on doing it, it would be humongous brownie points across the entire family, rest assured. From the sounds of this situation though, it doesn't necessarily seem like he can't afford it. It's just that he doesn't want to pay for it. He says that he has got bills coming up, but I feel like if he was in a situation where financially this would really affect him, which if that's the case, right, that's honestly fair enough. I think that is fair enough, but that's also something that you have to outwardly talk to your partner about and maybe even have a discussion with like her family and say, I would love to be part of these excursions and I want to pay my own way, but I really can't. And her family seems generous enough that if he was openly telling them that like he financially can't afford to go to brunch and go to these dinners and go on vacation, that they would help him just to have him there, and he would probably appreciate the honesty. If he was worried about this $150, I feel like he would explain that to his girlfriend of a year and a half and be like, listen, I would and I would like to, but I cannot. If $150 comes out of my bank account, my phone bill doesn't get paid, my health insurance doesn't get paid, my car doesn't get paid, whatever it is. And I'm certain that if that was the case, she would probably understand, and she'd probably even maybe speak to her dad as well and be like, listen, he can't really afford this right now. And it wouldn't be out of pity as well that they pay for stuff, because everybody goes through tough times financially. It would just be about making you feel included with everybody else and being able to do nice things with her family, because it sounds like they probably like you because they're inviting you to go and do all these things. Alternatively, you can be a dum-dum and blow up the whole spot with a good woman because you don't want to shell out 150 bones to become closer with your partner and her family. It's up to you, man, whatever you want to do. With that said, let's move on to the next Reddit story. This next Reddit story is, my ex-girlfriend got revenge on me and I'm so broken. I, male 25, have been with my ex-girlfriend Carly, female 23, for nearly 10 years. We were high school sweethearts and we had a good relationship up until after she completed college. Adulthood has been putting a strain on our relationship, so bills and finding sustainable jobs has been a challenge. We started arguing a bunch and just started overall being annoyed with each other's existence. We weren't sleeping in the same room, let alone being intimate. It was a tough time to say the least. We tried therapy and I felt like it wasn't working. I honestly wanted to be done, but I couldn't break up with her because we lived together and she helped me get out of debt. So I did something horrible and I started cheating on her with her childhood best friend. I thought she would never find out, and my gosh, I was wrong. Yesterday afternoon, I came home and she wanted to talk, and without hesitation, she jumped straight into it and just asked me point blank if I was cheating on her. And I, of course, tried to lie, and she just started laughing. She says, I knew you weren't going to admit it, but I was going to give you the benefit of the doubt, so now I just feel less guilty. I just confessed to her, and she just looked at me, and she didn't have any expression, nor did she speak. When I finished, she just laughed at me and told me that I would never forget it. Honestly, it's fine, because Louis was over last weekend and we had a great time. My heart dropped to my stomach because Louis is my big brother. I just thought it was a low blow on Carly, given she knew how insecure I was about my brother. He's the golden child and literally always did things 10 times better than me. I'm stuck having to have some sort of relationship with him, and meanwhile she can just drop her friend. My chest and heart has been hurting so much since I found out, and I'm so broken. I know I was wrong for cheating first, but if she knew, why didn't she just break up with me first? I called out of work because I feel like throwing up just thinking about it. There is an edit to this, and this is tough, man. Whew. I did not intend for this to be a viral post. I'm just extremely hurt, and I do get effed up. And also, yes, I know that she did, because she offered video proof, and my brother has been dodging my calls. Wow, okay. I'm going actually insane right now, and all you people here are just obsessed with kicking me while I'm down, and it's effed up. Like, I get it, lol, so funny. She won, good for her. Also, with the debt that she helped me pay back, she just did it from her inheritance. I didn't ask her. If she asks for the money back, I will be willing to set up some kind of payment arrangement with her. Whew. That's tough, man. His brother does everything 10 times better than him. Are we talking everything? Everything? Listen, this is pretty simple. Carly is brutal, by the way. The video evidence stuff, I mean, it's fair enough. He fired the first shot, so the revenge is very precise. It's surgical. It is devastating as well. It is a nuclear bomb versus a slingshot, admittedly, but fair enough. You didn't even want to be with Carly to begin with. You obviously feel some kind of obligation to her because she helped pay off whatever debt that you had accrued over the years that you were with her. Now, whether she paid it back with her inheritance or not, it doesn't really matter how much it was. I can assure you that that money is worth nothing compared to the time that you are wasting of her life staying with her over this bizarre financial obligation. You are cutting into the best years of this woman's life because you feel like you owe her some money. I guarantee, yeah, she'll not be happy with you if you break up, but you're arguing, you don't seem that interested. Obviously, you're not interested in her, you went and cheated on her. That's like a given. You don't do that to people that you love. But still, the fact that the only reason that he wouldn't break up with her is because he owed her money, and it doesn't even sound like he owed her money. She paid for it, presumably because she loved you. It wasn't something that was expected to be paid back. But you're like, okay, I'm gonna waste this woman's life because of 10 grand or something like that. What, you're gonna get married to her because she paid off some debt for 10 grand? But you're not even interested in her, you're just gonna cheat on her, but you're gonna marry her because you owe her money, so it's the right thing to do. No, she deserves to be with someone that she cares with. Now, admittedly, that's probably not your big brother Louis, but at the very least, he probably showed her a good time, so good for her. It's so absurd how often you read about people that are willing to waste their entire lives and other people's entire lives in a relationship or a situation where it's just not working, but there's some bizarre obligation to stick around and just waste away with a person. If you're not in love with somebody, the kindest thing and the simplest thing to do is have a conversation and talk about your feelings, and then mutually decide upon it. Because if you just had a conversation with her and talked about it and said that you feel horrible because of the money, obviously you do this before you go and sleep with another woman. Okay, I think that's obvious, right? Before you go and sleep with another woman, you have a conversation with your partner and you talk about the fact that you've been arguing, you talk about the fact that you've been finding each other annoying, you're becoming more abrasive, you're just not really sticking together like a couple should, but you have this lingering guilt upon your shoulders about the money that's owed. Because if you have that conversation, I guarantee she does not care 1 ounce about the money. It's probably not something that she would even bring up in the conversation. I'm sure that you would probably both mutually come to the agreement that you were high school sweethearts, you've been together for so long, but now that you're out and you're into the adult world, which is the case quite often, you have grown apart and you're just not meant for each other. You're just going to both go your separate ways, and you're both going to be so much happier for the privilege. But now you're both going on after this relationship. You have been quite rightfully scarred for life. Your relationship with your brother is going to be an interesting one at Thanksgiving. I'll tell you that for free. But she's also going off of this relationship with like a severe amount of trauma because it's also her childhood best friend that you did it with, right? That is an absolutely brutal person to pick. Any person is brutal, but that is a severe betrayal for her. I mean, that's trust issues from multiple different directions that are going to be coming into her, from not just from partners and from other men, but from also her friends now. She's going to have difficulty trusting her friends because one of her best childhood friends happened to do this to her. What I wouldn't give to be a fly on the wall at that Thanksgiving with our man and his big brother Louis, who's 10 times better than him. The golden child at the head of the table. I wonder what his parents would have to say about that, because you know it's getting brought up. Anyway, wow, Carly's brutal, but still, well played, I guess. Well played. Anyway, let's move on to the next Reddit story of the day. This last story is, am I the a-hole for not getting rid of my dog when my wife asked me to? I am 32 male and my wife is 29 female. I'm not saying that my wife's concerns aren't valid, because they are. I'm simply not willing to rehome my dog. He's a 3-year-old healer. My mother-in-law gave us a dog for free back 2.5 years ago, and the behaviors have always been there. She gets into the cat box constantly. She gets up on our table when we aren't looking. She growls at us for redirecting her every single time. She absolutely has bitten the back of my wife's leg when my wife was vacuuming, or bitten my wife's hand when my wife went to take back something that she wasn't supposed to have. So she's bitten twice over the time that we have had her, and both times were barely hard enough to draw blood. Scratches that had tiny beads of blood. We brought her to the vet and we were told that she has a hormonal imbalance. More than likely due to inbreeding. My mother-in-law got her from a breeder in Kentucky, so I guess it's possible. As we know nothing about the people and were told that there was easily 6 male dogs there to 2 females. She was put on meds and it didn't help the issue. More things are the fact that she runs off or jumps off of our vehicle when we aren't looking and takes off. She has broken through many leads and harnesses, one of them being meant for a large dog of 80 pounds and above. She had jumped out of her vehicle when we stopped at a red light the other day and took off down the street, chewed through her dog seatbelt, and we didn't even realise it. It took us over 4 hours to get her back in the vehicle, and my wife missed her doctor's appointment as a result. She's pregnant. Now the issues were brought up heavy lately because my wife said, and I quote, "I outright refuse to continue dealing with this when our baby arrives. You have 6 months to find a new trainer and correct her behaviour, or the dog is gone." We have already been through trainers, however, and even the trainers have stated that this is likely an imbalance in chemicals, not behavioural. This was after 2 years. She was just taken from the training program 4 months ago. She can't be heavily medicated due to other health-related issues, but I'm also not willing to just give up on my dog. My wife, on the other hand, has no qualms rehoming her because of her being bitten and her simply being completely fed up with revolving her life around a dog when she has a baby on the way and no energy. Missing her appointment and chasing the dog around for 4 hours truly made her resentful because it was the gender ultrasound that she had been looking forward to. I told her I wasn't getting rid of the dog and she immediately started packing her stuff. She's currently with her mother and has texted me and said that she will not be coming home until the dog is gone. I think it's hormones, but my friends have stated that I'm an a-hole because I'm essentially choosing an annoying and aggressive dog over my wife and unborn child. This is unbelievable again. You have a dog that, admittedly, doesn't sound like it's the dog's fault inherently. It has chemical imbalance, it has hormone imbalance, it acts erratically, it acts violently, it is unpredictable. But when brought up, and you're agreeing with all this, by the way, you're like, yeah, it's bitten my wife twice, it jumps out of the car, it flies down the street, it chews through things, it's kind of like a bit unpredictable at the best of times. When your wife says, I don't want my child around this, I don't want a small child that can't fight this dog off around my baby, you're like, it must be the hormones, man. Women are crazy, actually. Am I the only one here that thinks that she's just a bit hormonal? This is... It's absurd, man. Listen, man, I'm sorry. I love dogs. I've had dogs my entire life. When I was a kid, we got a dog. They didn't tell us it was pregnant with 8 puppies. And I lived with 9 dogs in my apartment with my mum and my brother for years, man, until we eventually got them rehomed with other friends and family. Dog training is serious business, man, but here's the thing, like, if you're not capable of training this dog, if you cannot keep it under control, especially with a healer, which is like a cattle dog, and to be honest, the way that they herd cattle, the healer dogs, I believe, is by nipping at the back of the cattle's legs to make them go in certain directions, which is what the dog is doing to your wife, which is a very strange one. It's obviously like it's evolutionarily built into this animal to behave this way. It's a big dog, it's a tough dog, it's a dog that's meant to go up against like big cows. Like it's certainly one that could get the better of the average person, put it that way. Do you, in all your glory and wisdom, think that it would be a good idea to have a small child around this animal? And you have to be honest with yourselves on this one, okay? Because it bit your wife's hand when she tried to take something out of its mouth that it wasn't supposed to have. And this is a creature that is many times smaller than a human being, right? Like, your wife is towering over this animal. So realistically, it should be like a kind of dominant position where you're dominating the animal and saying, give me this back, but it's still biting back. What do you think that dog is going to do to, let's say, like a 2-year-old or a 1-year-old or a 7-month-old that doesn't know any better and tries to play with your dog a little bit too rough and a little bit too aggressively, and all it takes is one little annoyance in that dog to snap, and I guarantee that your child is going to be in a heck of a lot more danger than your wife is when faced with a dog that is over the weight of like 80 pounds. This is an animal that weighs many times more than your child. But are you going to like keep the dog completely separated from your child forever until such times as you deem it appropriate? There are places that you can take your dog to eventually be rehomed that can take care of dogs that have these problems. You need to find one and you need to put it in a place that can handle it. This dog deserves better. It's not the dog's fault. And I'll give you the benefit of the doubt and say that you have actually tried to train this dog and it just hasn't helped. But it needs to be in a place with the facilities that can actually help it to become better and become far less unpredictable. And unfortunately, that is not with you and your family and your unborn child. Your wife is more than within her rights to not want this animal, because you haven't been bitten by the dog, but she has twice. So she probably knows how strong it is, and she didn't even get got that well, but I bet it hurt really badly. So there is a 0% chance that she's going to come within 500 feet of that place. Even more than 500 feet, since it seems like the dog is diving out of cars left and right and just tearing through the neighborhood with her unborn child. She's not going to come anywhere near that. She has absolutely every right to refuse that. I feel like maybe a lot of the comments in this thread are saying that the dog needs to get put down. I personally think that it would probably be better if it was just put into like one of these kind of farms or ranches where they look after dogs with behavioral problems, and like they are very well trained and they are very well suited, and they're against the idea of putting down dogs with behavioral problems, and they're more about rehabilitation. But ultimately, giving up the dog to like a home or a ranch or farm is going to be a much better long-term trajectory for that animal and for your family than if it stays with you, because today and yesterday it was biting your wife. It didn't get put down. Tomorrow it could dive out of the car and it could attack someone's kid, and you're going to go to prison. You're going to mess up your entire life, and that dog is getting put down. You don't want the dog to get put down. It's clear that you care about it, so you need to do what is best for it. And unfortunately, it sucks to say that you're not it. But it's ridiculous that you would think that your wife should put up with this. There's absolutely no reason. You're a stupid man. It's just dumb. Of course your wife's not going to want to have a child around that. It's so unpredictable. Regardless, that'll do it for the Reddit stories of the day. There were some doozies today, I gotta say. Mostly just dumb people that seem to lack the ability to have a conversation with one another. But isn't that just the pitfall of humanity when it comes to it? I want to say thank you so much for everybody that's been stopping by on the videos recently. There's been a lot of new people that have been coming in, and if you are new here and this is your first time, I'm Ross and I welcome you to the channel. I hope that maybe you consider hitting the subscribe button and sticking around, because there's a lot more videos where these came from. As always though, as well, if you're watching on Spotify, if you'd like to rate it 5 stars, I greatly appreciate it. And if you're not on the Spotify and you're interested in being updated with audio only and offline downloadable content that you can watch, listen to when you're working, cleaning or driving, it's down there. I would highly recommend it if you're cleaning up or Some people were saying that they're sewing silly little clowns, which I love. It's awesome to see the love. Until next time though, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for keeping me company. Have a great one. Bye.